Dakota has finally had to bitterly admit that she cannot replace Amelia in Jamie Dornan's heart. The overnight flight dropped Dakota Johnson in cold London, where the morning mist greeted her with a misty mist through the taxi window. The city seemed not to smile at her. Each old street under the yellow lights seemed to reflect the unstable mood of a woman standing between two worlds, between the halo of Hollywood and the hollow in the heart of a man who had long since chosen to stop. The bag of fame, the outstanding projects, the endless interviews, the advertising contracts, still weighed heavily on her shoulders. But in Dakota's head, there was only one question that echoed over and over again: can I replace her? The question was not about her career, but about her heart, a heart that no longer belonged to her. Near the end of the square of lights, the sparkling villa was the last mark of her cherished plan, to break the wall of silence. But instead of courage, she only felt her heart ache, as if it had been pierced by something invisible. She blamed everything on time, on distance, on herself, but all explanations seemed meaningless when faced with the truth. Jamie Dornan had never stopped thinking about Amelia Warner. The first meeting, the quiet atmosphere. Dakota walked through the large gate, where the darkness intertwined with the soft light from the crystal chandeliers in the lobby. Each step echoed as if emphasizing the rift that had formed long ago. Jamie stood by the window looking out at the flower garden, seemingly waiting for something elusive. "When will you come back?" Jamie's voice rang out warmly but hesitantly. He stepped closer, his eyes lighting up when he recognized her. Dakota felt his breathing, slow, deep, permeating the still air. But then, when she looked deep into Jamie's eyes, she saw something indescribable, a void, an invisible distance that she simply could not cross. No matter how many times she had prepared the story, how many times she had practiced her expressions, her words, even the sincerity in her small movements, everything became clumsy, meaningless. I came because I thought I could bring you back here, back to the peace of the past," Dakota said, her voice trembling. "But it seems I was wrong." Dirty confession, a sad tears. Jamie was silent for a moment, looking at his hands, where his head was bowed, tangled. He knew the truth was painful, and perhaps he had hoped for it. But now, in the light rain outside the window, the drops falling slowly and quietly, it seemed to say for him what they both feared: Amelia. "Jamie," Dakota blurted out, You still think about her?" Jamie nodded slightly, even though inside his heart was a silent storm. I'm not trying to hide it. But you have to understand. She was attached to my heart in a way that, you can't force your heart to forget someone who made it flutter. The air was thick, each word was like a muddy stream of memories. Dakota felt her heart shatter into thousands of pieces of glass, sharp, impossible to pick up. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not because of hatred, not because of bitter struggle, but because of the realization, in this game of emotions, she was just a passerby. Amelia was home. The irregular mood, a painful awakening. Dakota felt every beat of her life more clearly in the following week. She returned to her small hotel room, but the bed was a spiderweb of memories that kept her from sleeping peacefully. Every morning when she woke up, bright light shone into the room, but that light could not dispel the darkness in her heart. She met friends, relatives, but it seemed that every question "How is he?" was like a knife gently thrust into the wound. Dakota did not want to lie, but did not dare to say everything. It was as if her heart was wavering between maybe and cannot. Finally, she decided to write a letter, not to send it, but to free herself. "Dear Jamie, I don't know why I thought I could replace Amelia. I don't know if it was the lights, the attention, the urge to conquer that kept urging me on, or if I was too lonely to admit that I was missing something deep down. I don't blame you for saying I was wrong. I don't blame myself for being late, when your heart had stopped needing me. I just loved you, that's all. But they say love isn't always the end. I'm leaving. Not because I'm afraid, but because I love myself, to be loved properly somewhere else. She texted to say that she would fly back to Los Angeles on a lightly rainy morning, no angry words, no deliberate tears. The moment of parting, light and so close. The two met for the last time in front of the airport. Jamie stood waiting at the foot of the glass stairs, the sky gray with rain like long pencil lines. Dakota walked over, walking slowly, carrying with her a whole time that had passed. The smell of rain, the smell of flowers in her bag, all of it pulled her back to the starting point. But this time was different. This time she didn't want to ask to stay. "I will go back," she said, her voice soft. "Everything I thought I could rebuild with you, I understand now. There are people. There are places, we should just stop and be grateful for having been there once, and then gently walk away." Jamie said nothing, just looked at her. Rain rolled down from her wet hair, from the corners of her eyes, down to her thin lips. He reached out his hand, but didn't hug, just touched her wrist. A slight vibration, then left. It was a moment of both preparing to leave and being so close. "I miss you," he whispered. "But I still love Amelia." Dakota smiled, not the smile of victory, but the smile of someone who has let go. "Then, I wish you happiness." She turned away, walking into the station, as if moving from one world to another. Behind her, Jamie was still standing by the glass door. Her hair was wet, her eyes were covered in rain. And, another life, and the patchwork of courage. Back in Los Angeles, Dakota felt like she was blooming again. The big city was still bustling as before, but the lights were brighter. The sky of San Francisco, or L.A., was more peaceful when she didn't try to beat wildly for a heart that didn't belong to her. She started an independent film project, the story of a woman who learned to let go, not because she had failed, but because she wisely realized that there were things that didn't belong to her that she shouldn't try to hold on to. Each scene is a flashback, love, sadness, dreams left behind. And finally the sweet freedom of knowing how to close your eyes and say goodbye to the past. Friends asked her why she didn't return to London. Dakota smiled, her eyes shining. "I replaced myself. That's the proudest thing." She had come to London to conquer a heart that was not hers, but God gave her another, greater lesson: people can love, but they can't always be replaced. And in the initial bitterness, she found something sweet that lives forever. Love yourself first, then you can love life again.